Baking during the holidays can be a great way to spend quality time with your family, but it's even more important when your culture is involved in what you're doing. Around Christmas time, I make a special cookie called comm with my grandma, mom, and cousins. You have to use a special iron griddle that is two-sided and has a decorative pattern on each side that will imprint the cookie. I can relate and speak about the comm iron because it is a tradition that is important to not only my family but my culture as well. It's something I bake every year and it has brought me many memories that will last a lifetime. Making comm is something I hope I'll be able to do with my own family someday so I can keep the tradition going. Today I'm going to talk to you about what my cultural artifact represents, how it's used, why I identify with this culture, and how it is important to me. Now moving on to what my cultural artifact represents. My cultural artifact represents bringing family members together so they can spend time with each other and create a tradition that will last a lifetime. Comm is a thin cookie that is baked on an iron and rolled into a cylinder while it is still warm. The cookie is imprinted on both sides with a decorative pattern from the iron. Comm could be thought of as folk art because of the delicate pattern on the iron. Norwegians thought decoration was a lot more important than the taste. The cookie mainly consists of sugar, eggs, butter, and flour. So basically you'll get your ingredients and put them all into a bowl, and then you want the consistency of the batter to be smooth, you don't want it to be clumpy. And then you'll take about a spoonful and put it onto the iron. And once the cookie is done baking, you'll take it out and roll it into a cylinder and then lay it out to cool. Comm is a traditional Norwegian cookie that is usually made around Christmas time. The tradition of making comm has to do with the Norwegian American pride. The comm iron and cookie itself were very important during the time of when the Norwegians were migrating to America. They wanted to keep their traditional style of living, and they also wanted to keep the farming style that they knew from Norway. Now that you know some information about how a comm iron is used and what it represents, I'm going to talk to you about why I identify with this culture and why it is important to me. I identify with this culture because my mom's side is Norwegian, and my grandma passed down her comm iron to my mom. I also think it's important to keep some of the same traditions as my ancestors because it gives me more of an idea of how they baked and made food during their lifetime. The Norwegian culture is important to my life not only because it's part of my cultural background, but because this culture helped to give me a chance to spend quality time with my grandma, who I don't get to see a lot. She lives in a town that's pretty far away, and me being busy in college, I just never really have time to go and see her. So I usually only see her on holidays or special occasions. So whenever I do, I like to make the most out of every moment. I also find it interesting learning more and more about my culture every day. It's important for me to know where I came from and what my ancestors did because it's a part of who I am. Learning about my ancestors' traditions and still being able to keep those traditions going are very valuable to not only myself but also people that are Norwegian as well. Now that I've given some insight on my artifact, I hope it made you guys curious as to what the cookie tastes like, and it also gave you insight on the background of what seems like as just a cookie. Comm is something I hope to bake with my own family someday, so I can keep the tradition going. Going over what my cultural artifact represents and why I identify with this culture, I hope it gave you a little taste of what it's like to be Norwegian over Christmas time. As many of you may have learned something new about the Norwegian culture, I also learned more about the history of my artifact as well. If you are ever looking for a new tradition to try out, I strongly recommend looking into buying a comm iron and trying it out for yourself because it's a lot harder than it seems.